Let's watch Krystal Ball. All right, because Kyle Kulinski looks like he's an extremely happy husband here. He looks like he's a real proud husband. All right, and I know that feel. Okay, so I wanted to watch this video just strictly because I like that Kyle looks like he's happy for his wife and proud of his wife. So I think we should watch this because I think it's just probably a cool video to watch of somebody supporting their significant other.
Now, I don't have a TikTok, y'all, but I will say I'm a fan of TikTok, and I really like it because it's a way for things that people like to get recycled and get new life. So, for example, there were some songs I liked that came out, and I was one of very few people who listened to it when it came out, and then like 2 years later, it randomly blows up, and you hear it on the radio and shit, and the reason it blew up is because somebody did some TikTok with it. The TikTok went viral, and people went, oh, what song is that? I like that song, and then it has second life. That happened with some Miguel song. I don't know how many of you guys know the R&B singer Miguel, but he had a song, shit, it probably came out like 2006 or 2009 or some shit like that.
What an R&B guy.
And it was a big hit, and it was on the radio a lot back then. But randomly last year, it was all over the place again. And I was like, what the fuck happened here? And it's because there was some TikTok that had that song, and people loved it, and so it like had breathed new life into the song and made it trend again. It made it popular again. They played it on the radio again. And so I like that element of TikTok, because this is something we never had before. Usually, you know, if it's a song or a movie or a clip or whatever, if it blows up, it just has that initial lifespan, and then it just goes away, and everybody just moves on, right? Now you can recycle stuff because of TikTok. Well, having said that, there's a clip that just went viral on TikTok of wife guy moment. My wife, Krystal Ball, she went on Real Time with Bill Maher and really just absolutely humiliated him, where he didn't understand basic facts about something, and she ran circles around him. Nice. So I guess what happened is somebody posted this on TikTok.
I knew
came back up. Somebody posted it, went mega viral on TikTok, and then it made its way to Twitter, and then I was seeing it all over my feed. She was seeing it all over her feed. So I wanted to go back and listen to this because not only will you enjoy it for what it is, but I could also give you some background stuff because I was with her. I was there. And I can tell you what went on during the trip and after the trip, which you might have quite a bit of interest in. So here's the moment. This was after COVID, and they're talking about what happened during COVID, and Krystal just ends Bill Maher.
Part of this inflationary problem is because we put too much money into the economy. There's way too much government spending, and that's why we have inflation. So that's a large part of that. It's just basic economics.
And that is not basic economics. We had this thing called a pandemic.
By the way, Krystal says that's not basic economics. Just so we're clear, she has a degree in economics.
Yeah, and I was going to say, the lady who, what's her name? Stop? What is her name? I can't remember her name. But the lady who created the metric in which we use to determine whether or not unemployment has risen at a rate that will lead to a recession in the near future, which has like a 99% accuracy rate, explained this the best because she's a big fan of stimulus. And that is, when you put money into an economy that is fluttering, right? And it is put into the hands of people that will spend that money, not into the hands of the rich, not in the hands of the ultra wealthy, not in a place where people will just put that money in a bank, right? When you put that into the hands of people that will spend it, that need it, it operates in multiple different lanes. For one, it helps people to stabilize. So they can pay electricity bills, they can pay car payments, they can pay rent, they can buy food, they can pay for daycare. So that means that the economy stays up and stays open. So that's a positive. On the second end of that, it also stimulates the economy because the people that are being paid also are able to then use that money as well. Stimulus, though inflation does increase during stimulus, it's supposed to. It's not a bug, it's a feature. You are trying to heat up the economy. So when you have stimulus, you have too much money chasing too little goods. So during the pandemic, and this is probably what she's going to say right now, You had people that had stimulus, but you had supply chain problems. So if you have supply chain problems, then you don't have enough goods. So you have people with lots of money, but you don't have enough goods, which means that demand is higher, which means that prices increase. This is what I've tried to explain to people before when they're like, no, you don't understand. We're all going to be rich. No, if everybody's rich, then nobody's rich. Because if you can all afford $10,000 to pay for a car, then demand for that car goes up because it's no longer worth $10,000 because you all have that much money. Therefore, it's worth more because the next person that comes in that has more money than that has increased the value of the vehicle. This is where, once again, we get into this case of reducing things down into government print more money, government bad. It's too reductive. There's so many complicating factors when it comes to whether or not a time is the right time to put stimulus into the economy or if it's a completely wrong time. But the majority of the time, stimulus being introduced into the economy is a very good thing. And we saw the results by missing a recession, by the way. I've been screaming that into the ether for years. These people tend to willfully ignorant about something that's simple. I don't even have an economics degree, and I know that. I don't have an economics degree either. I just know from running a business, and I also know from reading a lot of articles on these types of things, is that this is it. One of the things I've learned about government systems, the judicial system, governments in general, legislation, policy, is that it's not as complicated as people like myself think, right? So I think it's so complicated. There's no way I could learn this without having a degree. But then, over this past couple of years, because of stuff like what Troy, just pushed back on me. Troy pushed back on me. That makes me have to go, okay, maybe I should be fucking looking more into this or that, right? So somebody pushes back on me in the economy or pushes back on me on stimulus. I want to be correct about it. I want to talk about it in a way that's intelligent and have the right idea and not rant like a crazy person, even though I'm going to anyways. And so I go into that. So the reason that I know these things is because I know that talking point that people have said to me, this is all Joe Biden's fault. He created the stimulus, the government printed money, the government fucked up, and that's why we have inflation. Completely not taking into account all these other things. So I start looking into it and I go, is it complicated? Is it complex? Of course it is. But is it within the realm of understanding? Yes, it is. And I spent enough time looking at it and understanding. By the way, also, Donald Trump gave massive amounts of stimulus before he left office. That's why $4 trillion comes from the CARES Act. $4 trillion of his debt came from the CARES Act. The total of $8 trillion worth of debt that Donald Trump added to the debt. But like I said, neither here nor there. That's just, once again, people just choosing to act like a set of facts do not exist. So even if Joe Biden were the person who added all of the debt and created all of the inflation, it would not be generically correct to say it was because the government printed more money. It would be because of multiple different factors that include too much money and not enough supply, creating higher prices because of higher demand. And like I said, everybody wants to reduce things down to something that leads them to be angry and hateful. That's really what it is. It's just this basic human need to drive yourself to this reductive answer that allows you to be mad about what you want to be mad about at the people that you wish to be mad at. So in this case, what it is they don't like Biden or they think the government's corrupt, and so they want to blame the government. Therefore, inflation was caused by the government printing too much money. But let's see. Krystal might prove me wrong right here.
Nobody believed me at first, but now everyone wants one.
Sorry,
my friends
guys.
Roasted me for getting scammed into buying
It won't update.
So she knows better than this dork who she's sitting next to.
And that is not basic economics. We had this thing called a pandemic. We had a supply chain crisis. And by the way, there's a war in Ukraine.
It played a role. It's played a role.
So to act like the only reason we have problems now is because people got a little bit of money in their bank account. It's just not honest.
And a little bit of money, they got more than we spent in World War II. So don't act like...
Hold on.
Whoa. Don't act like... You said don't act. Don't act like we had to react to the pandemic exactly the way we did. We had to spend $6 trillion
but how about
the
trillions that the Federal Reserve shot at Wall Street? For some reason, people don't get upset about that.
How much? What'd you say?
Fueled the trillions of dollars the Federal Reserve shot at Wall Street to backstop the stock market and the bond market. No one gets upset about that, even though that was a massive
I don't know what
factor in
you're
inflation.
talking about. What do you mean shot at Wall Street? When are we talking about?
We're talking about buying assets, buying stocks, buying bonds, buying treasury bills so that they expand the balance sheet. This is during the crisis, the coronavirus crisis. When the stock market crashed, that is what the Fed did. They went into action. They shot
but the stock market didn't crash during COVID.
Now it's crashing. It's crashing now.
It crashed, and the Fed came in and backstopped.
Wait, what? It didn't crash? Motherfucker, that's where I made money. If it didn't crash, I have a completely different memory of history.
That's what happened.
It crashed and we never heard about it?
No, it crashed. Go back and look at it.
I think
it fell off a cliff.
About?
The Treasury bond market stopped functioning, and the Fed took extraordinary action it's never taken in history.
Holy fuck. Hold on. Dude, Bill Maher is not this stupid. He has smoked himself stupid. Look at right there. Look at my fucking search history right now. We got slop tuber, pederastic, did Palantir work with Biden's government, can pagans wear crosses, Brett Cooper, Ben Shapiro comparison. Guys, being a slop tuber is going to make my history look so bad. COVID stock chart. God, I can't believe he's fucking saying this. That is insane. What is this? What is he saying? What is he saying? Brother! My brother in Christ! My brother in Christ! What do you think that is? The fuck you mean there was no crash? Holy shit, dog! What the fuck do you mean there was no crash? What is he high on? What the fuck is Bill Maher? What is Bill Maher smoking? Here's a good one. There's a good one. Dude, what do you mean there was no fucking... I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't know that you could... I didn't know that the government pumped all that money into the stock market. To be honest with you, I didn't know that. But I didn't know that there was a fucking crash. Did they buy GameStop? I bet they bought GameStop stock. If they didn't, they're dumb. Jesus.
It's crashing now.
It crashed, and the Fed came in and backstopped it. That's what happened.
It crashed and we never heard about it?
No, it crashed. Go back and look at it. It fell off a cliff.
When?
The Treasury bond market stopped functioning, and the Fed took extraordinary action it's never taken in history.
I don't
Somehow
remember
no one
that.
gets upset.
Maybe the first week of
Somehow nobody gets upset about the rich people who got tons of money and tons of support, way more than working class people did. But oh my God, people were able to feed their kids and they had a little bit of money in their bank accounts. It was the worst thing in the world.
No.
That is one small part of the inflation story, and it is, by the way, not the only thing that we can deal with to get out of this.
How glorious was that? I like the text here too. It says Krystal Ball clobbers Bill Maher into forgetting history. I was there live, right? First of all, Bill is... It's embarrassing because his show, like, they stack the audience full, obviously, of as many Bill Maher fans as they can find. But they tell you at the beginning, like, all right, guys, you need to remember, this is a comedy show, and we got an applause sign, and we got a laugh sign, and when it lights up, you do your darndest to laugh and to applause.
Really?
And so it's so, like, it's all so inauthentic. No. It's all so fake and forced, and, like, they want, like, oh, yeah, clap, oh, yeah, oh, laugh, laugh, laugh. And so, like, he leans on that, right? And in this moment, like, bro, you host a political show, and you don't remember when
the stock market
fell off a fucking cliff, and there was a crisis, and, like, instantly the Fed went in there and pumps trillions. And to her point, he literally doesn't even remember it. So that's right. Bill Maher was getting mad at COVID bailouts for working Americans who were struggling and needed some relief, but he's got nothing to say about the trillions that in the blink of an eye, they put it in the stock market, right? So he proves her point absolutely perfectly, bro. But look, this moment, and this is what people need to understand about this moment, right? Like I said, I was there. And I can tell you, so me and Krystal were recording like behind the scenes stuff, and like when we walked into the building and into the studio, it
was like it was when just recently when I played that Harlem versus Harvard clip. In rewatching that video while editing it, I noticed in the crowd when Trump was speaking. So I wasn't looking at Trump; I was looking at the people on the stage, or I wasn't looking at the crowd. I was looking at the people on the stage. And so I was watching their face, and I didn't recognize the reaction from the crowd, where when he starts talking, they all start looking at each other. At least a couple of them start looking at each other. Not all of them. They start looking at each other like, what the fuck is this guy saying? So you can only expect that when Bill Maher says there was no stock crash, if I'm in the crowd, I'm looking at people like, what the fuck is he talking about, man? Like I said, I made money during that time on OTC trades because of the fact that the market was in the toilet. Okay, I'm not some kind of fucking Warren Buffett over here. It was just easy pickings at that point because it was in the toilet. I can't believe, why?
I was recording videos and stuff, and I spliced together a little compilation after the fact, and I threw it up on YouTube, and I forget, maybe it was like a 15, 20-minute video or something, but it shows me and her at the hotel and traveling and going to the studio, and I talked to her before, and I talked to her after, and I got all these cool, and I got some clips during the show of me and the audience recording them talking, right? And posted it. And so when we get back from the LA trip, I upload it, and like within a day, Krystal gets like an angry email or an angry text, and it's the people at Real Time, and they're like furious over the fact that we have a behind the scenes video. They're like, there's some way to treat us, inviting you on this show, and you posting this stuff, and you didn't get approval to post it, and we need you to pull it down, and this and that. And we're thinking like, shit, are they gonna fucking sue over this like behind the scenes video? So I pulled the video down, but there is no doubt that this man was so thoroughly humiliated and embarrassed by this moment that his whole team had like a vendetta against us for, number one, her owning him, but also that video that I posted, which shows like all the behind the scenes stuff. And by the way, I should be clear, also in that video, we talk about this moment afterwards in the green room afterwards. And we're talking like, how the fuck does he not remember that? That's so crazy. You host a political show and you don't remember when the Fed took extraordinary action during COVID and shot millions at the stock market. And again, to her point, nobody complains about that. People only complain about the help that regular people got, which they desperately needed and we couldn't do without.
Yeah.
And so we were sort of like,
and so this is what I keep saying, and this is why I think one of the reasons I get frustrated, right? This is why I get frustrated. Because exactly what she said. It's so fucking crazy to hear, and I've heard this from low-income people, right? Low-income people blaming other low-income people for why we're in what we're in. As though, like, the real reason that all of this shit isn't happening, or all this shit is happening, is because of the guy next to you, the middle class person, the lower middle class person, the impoverished person. It's such a fucking crazy thing to think that it's not these people that refuse to pay a more proportionate portion of their wealth towards the upkeep of this country, that instead it's the people right next to you. Because you're not going to hear ultra wealthy people, because there's not enough of them, right? Speaking about this as much as you will hear middle class and lower middle class people talking about this, blue collar people talking about this. You will more often than not hear what she's saying, or what Bill Maher was saying that she was defending against. More often than not, it's going to be blue collar people repeating those things. Oh, the inflation was because a bunch of people got money. Yeah, you were one of them. Yeah, but I deserved it. Those other welfare queens, they're the problem, not me. You know, one of the things I was thinking about the other day is all of these people that keep saying corporations will take their ball and leave if we tax them. These are the same people that talk about tariffs as though they're a good thing. If you had a corporation that chose to take its ball and leave, that would be the proper time to tariff those motherfuckers. You would, if Walmart said to you, okay, you're going to tariff this much money, then you know what? I won't pay taxes. I'll just move out of the country. I'll move to Europe. Okay. Then we're tariffing all the goods that Walmart's getting. That's what we're going to do. And when people go, well, then Walmart will just pull all their shit, and then we won't have cheap goods from Walmart. This is a funny thing about living in California and knowing things about California that other people don't know about California. People always like to say businesses are leaving California in droves. You know the really fucking cool thing about California and having almost 40 million people in this state? We got room for you to leave. Because when people leave, when businesses leave, entrepreneurs start new businesses. And those new businesses have better chances to succeed because the bigger person in their niche has left. This is really important because, once again, people want to reduce shit down to these like really dumb, non-complex levels of big corporation get mad, big corporation leave, people suffer from that. It's not that there won't be any negative result from it. It's that in the long run, that company is going to decide that they want to be here in America. This is the whole argument that Trump and all his supporters make, that they want to be here in America. They want to be here in America. But also they believe that they'll just take their ball and leave. That doesn't make any sense. And the reality of it is that it's all just put there to once again make you fight with each other. Middle class versus middle class versus upper middle class versus lower middle class, and everybody against the impoverished. It's I don't know. To me, it's not that hard to see, man. You should be able to say to each other, like, I want you to do well, because if you do well, I do well. I want you to get stimulus during a time like a pandemic, because if you get money during the pandemic, it keeps you from being unemployed, which means you're unlikely to, or you're likely to be able to pay your rent. Therefore, you're unlikely to become homeless, because I don't like walking around there being a bunch of homeless people. Okay. Then don't make people homeless. They're not that way because they want to be. I mean, the people that are homeless, that want to be, are mentally ill. And hey, maybe if we put some money into mental health, we could fix that. But it takes money. It takes taxes. And it takes cooperation within the middle class. What it doesn't take is fucking hating each other and being like, fuck that guy, he got a stimulus. Meanwhile, the government, apparently, I didn't know this, but was pumping trillions of dollars in the stock market. Okay.
Mocking him and laughing at him in the video. Like, how do you not know that? That's so crazy. And there's no doubt that his team, or maybe even him, saw that. And then we got the angry email or angry text message that was like, you got pull this down, how dare you? And there was like, you know, the implied thing was like, like, you violated the rules of the club and you're not allowed back in and you're not on the show anymore. And it's, you know, it's like,
I couldn't believe these chemicals were on my kids' clothes. I'm a dad with 2 kids, and like any parent, I just want what's best for their health.
I can't say
okay. Like this is what we do, right? We're actual independent media, so like we record our own things, we post our own things, and that's how it works. It's not like
Victor.
I don't have a boss.
I know that it's not
we can do whatever the fuck we want, and clearly this mindset and this approach threatens them because we're just better than them. By the way, I met Bill this time too. Afterwards, they have some little, get together on the roof of the place, and it was me, Krystal, and whoever the other guests were, and a bunch of the staffers that work on the show. And I remember distinctly, even at this time, and this was, remember, I forget what year this was, but it was before Bill had really done his full heel turn, where he snuggles up to MAGA, and now he calls himself a centrist, and he does left bashing on a regular basis. And I remember distinctly in meeting him and talking to him, he brought up trans people out of nowhere. He brought up trans people, and he was shitting on trans people. And he was saying like, I'm all for oppress, but I'm not in favor of people cutting their dicks off, okay? And I remember thinking like, this guy is like motivated by wokeness hatred and trans hatred more than anything else, right? And it was very clear in meeting him. So, man, what a great clip this was. This was glorious.
That was amazing.
If you're wondering why, hey, she hasn't been invited back on after, and it doesn't look like she's going to. Well, this is why. These people truly are like little sensitive bitches. And God forbid you humiliate them, you embarrass them, you flex some knowledge that they don't have. They do not take to it kindly. He's in a little hermetically sealed, protected bubble over there. So the idea that I'm all about conversations and discussions and debates, okay? I like free speech and open conversation. I don't like cancel culture and censorship, okay? That is such bullshit. He does the best he can to make his show a hug box, to make himself always look like he's the victor. That I know for a fact, and now you know it too. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time.
All right. That's that. I just wanted to see him actually, like, I mean, it's nice to see somebody happy and proud of their wife. That's, you should be, this is all I'm saying, is you should be proud of each other. You should, it's what makes fucking relationships work, man. It really is. And, like, that goes for everything, man. Once again, it's not about just husband and wife. It's also about just person to person. Being happy for other people around you being successful. Here, let's do this.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, I just need to play that every time I talk. Every time I talk. This is what I want to say, because what he said about the transgender thing really hits home with something that I've talked about before on here, and I'll talk about again, and then we'll call it a night. And that is this. If you want to talk to me about trans issues, I don't know a lot. I don't understand a lot. And I've had many people that were transgender that have followed me and subscribed to me, and I've talked to. I've had a friend when I first came on here, a content creator named Neve, that was trans. And I've said to many people who will say, isn't it weird, though, that they're doing this one thing? And I'll go, I don't know, because I don't know enough about transgender people. Like, does it seem weird to me, or am I into that? No, I'm not into it. But it's not me, right? Does it seem weird to me? Yeah, probably, because you know what? I'm not transgender. And that's okay, because I don't hate them for it. I don't judge them for it. I don't think they're bad people unless they do something that's bad. And I'm not one of these people that thinks that no transgender person has ever done anything bad. I think there are assholes in every group of people. I think there are white assholes. I think there are black assholes. I think there are transgender assholes. I think there are heterosexual assholes. I think there are gay assholes. And I think that there are ginger assholes. But the one thing that I do 100% know is that I don't know everything. And when you say to me something like, well, you should have an opinion on this because this is what transgender people are doing and you should be mad about it. And I'm like, I'm not mad about it because I'm not a trans person and I don't understand everything about trans people. I also don't understand everything about African American culture or Latino culture or gay culture. I know a little bit about each, right? I'm doing my best to get my fingers in each of these things and know as much as I can about all of them. But at the end of the day, I don't need to have an opinion on people having sex changes. I don't need to have an opinion on whether or not I like a dude wearing dresses or not. If you said to me, well, would you wear a dress? No. Because I'm not transgender. Would you wear a dress? No. Because I don't like wearing dresses. I also don't like wearing shorts. A lot of people look at me because I'm from a fucking place that's 115 degrees during the summer, and I wear pants. There's a lot of motherfuckers out there that are like, that dude's weird. I'm okay with that. They're not me. They don't know. If I take these pants off and wear shorts, these blazingly white legs will cause car accidents. Okay? I'm doing it for the people. But I think that this is like a real fucking problem in society, you know? Is that everybody wants to have an opinion on why something is one way or the other and whether or not they like it or they don't. And oftentimes they can't be comfortable saying, well, yeah, it's not for me, but who gives a fuck if they do it? I've said this before. There's people out there that like feet. I think that's fucking weird. But you know what? That ain't for me to give a fuck about. I just don't. Look, at the end of the day, I don't want to look at feet pictures with you. All right? Just like if you're a gay dude, I'm not interested in looking at, tight butts of dudes. Although if it's Leonidas from 300, everybody's a little gay, okay? Everybody's a little gay. You know what I'm saying? Like I can be okay with that. I don't find dudes attractive. That's okay. You do. Okay, cool. Good for you. You like feet. And you're gay. Okay. Gay feet man. I just don't fucking understand it. And all this stuff is like kind of getting to me at this point where it's like, God damn it, man. Everybody's just finding reasons to hate each other. Meanwhile, the one person that is benefiting the most off of this is taking a fucking $400 million plane as a bribe. And he's got fucking blue-collar people fighting over whether or not people should have due process. It's fucking mind-boggling to me. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And check out that video on the screen now.